Welcome, MTG friends. All right, let's talk about cards that are in the color wheel and cards that either bend those rules or break those rules. So let's start out by actually looking at the color wheel in case you don't actually know what the hell I'm talking about. So the color wheel in Magic is as so. Here is the color wheel, and this is what all the cards are supposed to basically fit into the principles of each color. I'm really doing a lot of things with my hands right now. I'm gonna stop doing that. All right, so we got blue, black, red, green, and what looks like yellow to me, but we all know that's actually white. And then we have different characteristics that fall within those. And this is straight off of the Wikipedia page for MTG color wheels. And you know, Wikipedia never lies, right? But that's a whole other conversation. All right, so let's start with white. So white, it says order, morality, laws of good, spirit. The laws part, okay, I get that. You know, so for us, really, the simplification of that is protection spells and vigilance and just different types of things like that that we expect to see in white. Same thing goes for blue. Logic, technology, intelligence, so draw cards and control and keeping the board state as we see fit. I don't know why it says in action on there, but whatever. Maybe somebody could put a comment on why they think it says in action. Black has parasitism. Ooh, say that 4 times fast. Amorality, parasitism, selfishness at the expense of others. I can think of a few people in my past that would fit that bill, but you know, that's a whole other topic. So, you know, things we'd expect in black, removal and discard and, you know, just the stuff we'd expect. Red, impulse, chaos, haste, goblins going after your face and burn spells, raw. Red, you know, what we expect out of red. Green, instinct, interdependence. I don't know about the interdependence part. Natural survival. Okay. Nature for sure. Oh, yep. Nature's on there. You know, green, a lot of times we think big, dumb creatures going roar, or, you know, just green, being able to fetch lands and green stuff. All right. So we got all the basics of that. I mean, we could do a way deeper dive into the color wheel, but let's not. Let's not. I don't want this to be an hour and a half flipping along. So now let's look at these cards. All right. So here are the different cards. Now these cards are either going to, like I said, bend the rules or flat out snap, break them in half. So let's start with green because that's what Architect is telling us we're going to do. And before we move on, please hit subscribe if you're new. Hit that like button. It helps. All right, so starting off in green, avoid fate. So this is definitely a break to counter target instant or aura spell that targets a permanent you control. This is definitely a blue feel to it that's in green. Being able to counter an instant in green is hilarious, and I guarantee you, you're going to catch your opponents off guard if you're in mono green or something that doesn't have blue in it. And again, as we go through these, if there's some that you go, oh, he forgot this one, just put it in the comments. This is not in like every single card in Magic. I'd love to hear from you about which ones you think are also bends or flat out breaks that maybe I haven't mentioned. Maybe we'll do a second episode on this. Beast Within, this one is a very big staple in green, specifically because it does definitely non-green stuff. Destroy target permanent. Its controller creates a 3/3 green beast creature token that's got black written all over it. I mean, minus the token part. But yeah, being able to do spot removal in green is fabulous. And that's where we're not, you know, pumping or using our green creature and then making it attack, doing a spell that targets our own. This one is specifically targeting a permanent, not even necessarily a creature. So that's pretty wackadoodle awesome. Speaking of breaking the color wheel, this is definitely, without a doubt, a red spell in green. Now, mind you, it's a shock for 4, which really blows. Because the shock is not 4. Bee Sting deals 2 damage to any one creature or player. But it is a shock in green. So that's saying something. All right, bind, it's for 2. My buddy Zach thought, I don't know if this is purely a break in green, but I'm putting it anyway, Zach. Yeah. But anyways, counter target activated ability, draw a card. The draw card, I mean, that's not crazy non-green, but to counter target activated ability, that's pretty bendable. That sounds more like control. Yes? Control. All right, Charge of the Forever Beast. As an additional cost to cast this spell, reveal a creature card from your hand. Yeah. Charge of Forever Beast deals damage to target creature or planeswalker equal to the revealed card's power. That is totally in red. Would you not agree? And keep in mind, I'm also showing you some of these cards to consider putting into your commander decks. This isn't just an exercise of, can Ryan go find a bunch of cards that he can spit out and vomit onto the episode? I don't know why I'm using this voice. Maybe I saw Mary Poppins recently. No, I don't think so. Woo, I'm on a roll today. Concordant Crossroads for 1. It's an enchantment, enchant world. You can tell it's super old. 1, because it has the Legends set in there. That is Legends, right? Yeah, I think so. Enchant World. Creatures can attack or use abilities that include tap in the activation cost as soon as they come into play on their controller side. A la Red Haste. I mean, boom shakalaka. Drop of Honey. Now, you're probably not necessarily going to be dropping this into your green deck because it's about 900 if you don't have it. And who wants to spend $900 on Drop of Honey? During your upkeep, the creature in play with the lowest power is destroyed and cannot be regenerated. If there is a tie, you choose which to destroy. Drop of Honey must be discarded if there are no creatures in play. So this is totally not green. This is more of a black feel to it. Removal constant. Oh, that is bueno in green. Speaking more of green, we got Harmonized. I don't know why it's the Strixhaven version. Whatever, it doesn't really matter. I suppose I just don't like that artwork. I don't like that artwork either. Draw 3 cards. So it's very atypical for you to get draw in green specifically. Harmonize breaks that rule. So does Sylvan Library, which we'll get to in a moment. But yeah, drawing 3 cards in green is pretty bueno. Hornet Sting. Hornet Sting deals 1 damage to target creature or player. That is definitely not a green characteristic. Again, that's more of a feel of red. And of course, we got Instill Energy. Enchant creature is unaffected by summoning sickness. Another haster. Untap enchanted creature. Use this ability only during your turn and only once each turn. So that is definitely bending. I'd say more bending the rules. All right, Recycle. This is just hilariously made. This artwork is hilarious to me. For 6. Skip your draw phase. That sounds like Necropotence to me. Whenever you play a card, draw a card. Now it doesn't sound like Necropotence. During your discard phase, choose and discard all but 2 cards. So you're gonna really need a good reason to be playing this card. Otherwise, for 6 to do that is, I don't know about that. But if you were in green and red and you just want to keep filling your hand, that's pretty awesome. You play a card, draw a card, bring it down to 2. Or I suppose if you're playing Madness, or there's a few other reasons you might play this. But definitely bending the rules, if not breaking them completely in green. Storm Seeker. Shout out to Aaron. Aaron at Full Grip. Yeah, Storm Seeker deals 1 damage to target player for each card in his or her hand. I totally had forgotten about this card until Aaron had mentioned this. Storm Seeker deals 1 damage to target player for each card in his or her hand. It's definitely not a green characteristic. That is pretty awesome. All right, Sylvan Anthem. This is a new one out of Modern Horizons. Oh, and I guess it was in Jumpstart? Historic Horizons, I don't know. Okay, Sylvan Anthem. Green creatures you control get 1/1. So it's got Anthem built in. Whenever a green creature enters the battlefield under your control, scry 1. So it's even better than an Anthem because you also get a scry. This is very cool in tribal green or anything where you just want to buff up anything that's going wide. And speaking of which, Sylvan Library, like we said earlier, Harmonized Sylvan Library. At the beginning of your draw step, all of you know what Sylvan Library is at this point, I hope. Any episodes you've seen of ours, you've seen Sylvan Library, most definitely if it's in green. You draw 3 cards, pay 8 life if you keep all 3, throw 2 back on top of your library in your choice of order. This is definitely not in green. This is a blue spell in green for surezies, folk. All right, I'm going to take a deep breath because there's so much writing on this flipping card. The Great Aurora. It is super spendy in terms of mana cost. 6 green, green, green. Each player shuffles all cards from his or her hand and all permanents he or she owns into his or her library. Then draws that many cards. Each player may pay any number of land cards from his or her hand onto the battlefield. Exile the Great Aurora. This is chaos in its truest form, and that is definitely a red characteristic. I'm gonna stop using my hands so flipping much. Or am I? All right, we're into blue now. And this one is totally breaking the mold for blue. 3 blue, blue, blue. Look at target player's hand. Target player discards all non-land cards in his or her hand. That's bananas, folks. And that is black for surezies. I mean, whoa, whoa, whoa. I love it. Energy Vortex for 5. When you play Energy Vortex, choose target opponent. That's you, Mr. or Mrs. During chosen opponent's upkeep, he or she pays 1 for each energy counter on Energy Vortex, or it deals 3 damage to him or her. That's a red feel to me. X, put X energy counters on Energy Vortex. Use this ability only during your upkeep. So it's certainly bending the rules in blue with the damage portion of this card. I'm not saying go shove this in every blue deck you got, but it's definitely not fitting in the color wheel for surezies. False Demise. What a weird looking old school card from Mercadian Masks. It's 3-drop. Whenever enchanted creature is put into a graveyard, return that creature to play under your control. What color does that sound like to you? Maybe black? Black? Maybe a little bit of white feel to it, I suppose, as well. All right, High Tide. 1 blue instant. Until end of turn, all islands produce an additional blue when tapped for mana. So, yeah, being able to do what green does best in blue and mana ramp in blue specifically is pretty bananas. Bananas, folks. Patron of the Moon, 5 blue, blue, 5/4 Moon Folk Offering. You may play this card anytime you could play an instant by sacrificing a Moon Folk, which you probably won't be doing, and paying the difference in mana cost between this and the sacrifice Moon Folk. Mana, that is so specific. Mana cost includes color, and it's got flying. The main part about this is the 4/1, put up to 2 land cards from your hand into play tapped. To do ramp like that is pretty bananas. Now, it costs 7. So if you need mana at that point, I mean, okay. So this one isn't necessarily one you're going to shove again into your blue deck. This one you probably will. Destroy target creature, it can't be regenerated. This is definitely not a blue characteristic. It's more about control, not destruction. Control, intelligence. Yeah, I like how I said intelligence. Blue players are just so much more intelligent, right? Right? Okay, I do play blue sometimes. All right, shenanigans. They get a 3/3/8. So yeah, indeed. Oh, Psionic Blast. This is definitely not a blue card, but in blue. For 3, Psionic Blast deals 4 damage to target creature or player and 2 damage to you. Oh, I know it does damage to yourself, but to do 4 damage in blue? I mean, come on. That's definitely breaking the color wheel. Breaking the color wheel, y'all. All right, rapid hybridization, another instance of doing destruction where normally blue wouldn't do such a thing, and giving him a 3/3 green frog lizard. And new out of Kaldheim, this is definitely a break from the color wheel. Exile target artifact or creature. Its controller creates a 1/1 blue bird creature token with flying. So this is definitely a non-blue feel to it to be able to exile. Yes, sir. Yes, indeed. Web of Inertia. Out of Judgment. I don't think this has ever been reprinted. Yeah, I don't think so. It's not a particularly expensive card either. At the beginning of each opponent's combat phase, that player may remove a card in his or her graveyard from the game. If the player doesn't, creatures he or she controls can't attack you this turn. Boom. Yes, I like it. I was about to do the boom boom in your room, which I guess technically I just did it. So what the hell? Hey, I'm glad you're still with me. Keep on watching. More to come. All right, we're in red now. Red. This is a financially spendy card because it's from Arabian Nights. I think maybe because it's also the only version. Yeah, and maybe it might be reserved as well. I think this is a reserved list. Is this a reserved list? Put in the comments if this is reserved. Well, Ollie is in play. Damage that would be reduce you to less than 1 life lowers your life to 1. All further damage is prevented. That definitely feels white. Did you guess white? I'm thinking white. Let me know if you agree. All right, Anzarin Ruins. Oh, it's got the weird border. There we go. Choose a creature type. Creatures of that type do not untap during their controller's untap phase. That is not a red thing going on. That to be able to like sleep creatures, that definitely feels blue to me. So bending them rules. And when I mention what it feels, that doesn't mean that it doesn't also feel white or whatever. I mean, I don't want to get 150 comments about, hey, you should have said white when you meant blue and blue. Yeah, but if you do, that's okay. I'll love you anyways. I will. All right, Caverns of Despair. This one you may not be familiar with. In fact, I came across this one and I love it so much, I'm going to start putting it into some of my red decks. Caverns of Despair for 4. It's from Legends. All players may attack with no more than 2 creatures, crawl space, each turn and block with no more than 2 creatures each turn. So even better than crawl space, actually. That is so cool. Now, crawl space is colorless, yes, but this feels more like a white/blue type feel. A propaganda or ghostly prison, that kind of thing. But it's really closest to crawl space, I think, with the you can only attack with 2, and I love the fact that and you can only block with no more than 2 creatures each turn. That is incredible, and it's definitely going to creep into some of our future deck techs. Keep an eye out for that one. Descent of the Dragons. I mean, yes, there is Blasphemous Act type spells and big giant board wipes for damage, but what makes this uncharacteristic of red is the fact that you then put 4/4 red dragon creature tokens with flying onto the battlefield for each destroyed creature. How about I actually read the card? Destroy any number of target creatures. For each creature destroyed this way, its controller puts a 4/4 red dragon creature token with flying onto the battlefield. I mean, that is bananas. Very cool. So let's read it one last time so we understand it, including myself. Destroy any number of target creatures. For each creature destroyed this way, its controller puts a 4/4 red dragon creature token with flying onto the battlefield. So keep in mind, when they all get destroyed, however many there are, all players get that many 4/4 creatures that are flying and onto the battlefield. So this actually helps you way more if you wipe out all of your creatures, if you have like 1/1 goblins out there. In fact, I think my buddy Josh has Descent of Dragons in his goblin deck, which goes super wide with 1/1 goblins. You destroy all of them, suddenly you have 4/4 flyers. I mean, that's hilarioso indeed. All right, so it's a tricky card, but it's an awesome card. Faithless Looting. At first sight, you're like, well, this is totally a red card, but no. Because you draw the 2 cards first and then discard 2 cards. Normally, you get the loot cards where you have to discard the 2 and then draw the 2. This is so much better, especially for 1. I mean, for 1 to draw 2 cards and then filter and go, okay, well, I'll get rid of those lands or whatever. And then on top of that, it's got flashback, which, whatever, yes, that's definitely within the color wheel. But the draw 2 cards first and then discard, that's definitely not a red thing. It's more of a what? Blue, possibly? Yeah, more of a in the ilk of blue, I would suppose. All right, Glacial Crevasses. For 0, you sacrifice a snow-covered mountain. No creatures deal damage in combat this turn. That's totally green. Totally green. Totally green. I mean, yeah. Maybe a little bit of white feel in there, but certainly green. But not red. To be able to circumvent damage done on combat? Yeah, buddy. All right, Cazool, Tyrant of the Cliffs for 5/5/4. Whenever a creature an opponent controls attacks, if you're the defending player, so you got 5 creatures coming at you, create a 3/3 red ogre creature token unless that creature's controller pays 3. So cumulative, so 3 times however many they're attacking with. So this definitely feels like control to me, and certainly feels more like blue-white type stuff. Yes, definitely. So very interesting card. I like this control piece in what is otherwise a chaotic, hasty, Bernie type color wheel. Maniflare. Whenever any player taps a land for mana, it produces 1 additional mana of the same type. Now, this is definitely not something that red typically does. There have been some recent creatures that will generate red for you, and there are spells that generate, but for tapping of the land to create the additional mana, that is not a red characteristic. Thus why Maniflare is in here, folks. Is in here. And you know, this one's probably is obvious, and yeah, it is, and I'm just calling myself out on this one, but red Elemental Blast is totally not a red thing. Counter target blue spell, destroy target blue permanent. You know, red and blue are always fighting each other in terms of very specific hate pieces. This is one of them. All right, Rhymescale Dragon is definitely a blue feel to it all the way, except for the fact that it's a dragon, I guess, because who doesn't have dragons? It's in all of them. For 7, and then for 3, tap target creature and put an ice counter on it, and you put it to sleep. Night-night. You go night-night on that one. Creatures with ice. I think a comedian did a whole bit about, you're going to go night-night? I think he swore a lot after that. Creatures with ice counters on them don't untap during their controller's untap step. Sleeper in the house. That is definitely a blue thing. And it's in red. And a dragon to boot. All right, we're in black. All right, here we go. All right, eat your Wheaties, because we're going to keep moving on. We're doing it live. We're doing it live. All right, Bad Mood, black creatures get +1/+1. This is definitely more of an Anthem feel, a white feel. White all the way, but it's in black. All right, Darkness. Prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn. A total green type red, but mostly green. This is a great black card. I run this in previous deck techs. You've probably seen it. This is just a great surprise, especially if people are going wide and they're not worried about the crackback because they think they're going to kill you that turn. Speaking of which, crackback. I heard a couple of my buddies like Tyler and Logan saying crackback the other day, and that's the part where you're worried about what happens, the retaliation after they attack you. I'd never heard that term, crackback. Crackback. Snapback. Snapback? Anyways, you guys heard that term before? Crackback. That's pretty cool. I'm using it now. The crackback. All right. Darkness. Definitely worth putting in there, and I guarantee you it will surprise the hell out of your opponents.
Gate to Phyrexia. 2 black. Sacrifice one of your creatures during your upkeep to destroy any one artifact. Artifact removal is not typically a black thing. You may not sacrifice a creature that is already on its way to the graveyard. That last sentence really shows you how old this flippin' card is. Imps Mischief. Oh, I love Imps Mischief. This is one of my favorite black color breaking spells. Imps Mischief for 2. Change the target of target spell with a single target. You lose life equal to that spell's converted mana cost. This is such a blue card in black and a great one. You should put that in your black decks if it makes sense for you, of course. All right. During your upkeep, tap target untapped creature you control or bury Koshun falls. You got that so far? No creature can attack you unless its controller pays an additional 2 when that creature attacks. So, Ghostly Prison, Propaganda, yep. Ghostly Prison, Propaganda, yep. Phyrexian Tribute, sacrifice 2 creatures, destroy target artifact. So in a sack deck, this is going to get your Grave Pact going, your Dictate of Erebus, and you're going to be able to remove artifacts, which is typically not a black thing. That is definitely a green/other thing, like white. Or, yeah, just lots of other colors other than black. Sudden Spoiling. Man, is this cool and so not black. But this is great. In fact, somebody in our play group played this, and I can't remember if it won him the game. I think it did. Split second. That's where you can't put anything else on the stack. Once this goes on the stack, in essence, keeping counter spells from countering it. Until end of turn, creatures target player controls lose all abilities and have base power and toughness 0/2. This card can be a game winner for you. It is such a surprise to your opponents because this is not something that black typically does. It just isn't. And it's awesome. All right, Temporal Extortion. This is more of a bendy card in black, but the main thing that it does is definitely a blue thing. When you play Temporal Extortion, any player may pay half his or her life, which is totally a black card thing, rounded up if a player does counter Temporal Extortion. So for them to pay half, folks, half of their life is totally in the black color wheel. But the take an extra turn after this one, that's not black. Come on, people. That is totally in the blue realm. All right, Withering Boon for 2. Pay 3 life, counter target, summon spell. Yep, it's old and it says summon spell. So, creature spell. Summon. To summon a creature. Love it. Withering Boon is hilarious, and they will not be expecting this from you unless you play me a lot and you know what I'm up to. You know my shenanigans. All right, we're into white. We're into white now. Is that the last category? I think we're in the last category, folks. All right, Debt of Loyalty for 3. Regenerate target creature, gain control of that creature. So that's a tricky in terms of that's a tricky. When did I learn how to speak English? It is a tricky card. Regenerate target creature, which means that it's died, and as it's dying, you regenerate it. It's not just a flat out gain control of that creature. So it's a break of white, but it's definitely a blue feel to it. Blue feel, gaining control of that creature. That's awesome. Love it. All right, Ellis Norn Grand Cenobite is just a hateful awesome card. It's got vigilance. Yep, that's normal. Other creatures you control get +2/+2. Yep, that is normal in white. But creatures your opponent control get -2/-2 is totally not white whatsoever. And then you stack those 2 abilities on top of themselves. That's hilarious. The -2 is such a black thing, or a red, with the -2, which usually will have pump on the other side. But yeah, that is very uncharacteristic of white. Plus, this is a great card to consider in your white decks for surezies. All right, Illumination for 2. Counter, yep, you're countering something? Then that's more blue. Counter target artifact or enchantment spell. That spell's caster gains an amount of life equal to the spell's casting cost. The life part is very white, but everything else about this screams of blue. Mana Tithe, counter target spell unless its controller pays 1. I mean, we know counter spells. We know you blue players like that. Now, this is an interesting one. Preacher. Gain control of one of opponent's creatures. Opponent chooses which target creature you control. So, I mean, for the most part, you're going to wait until there's one creature out there that you really, really want. Or they have a bunch of stuff that you want. If Preacher becomes untapped, you lose control of this creature. You may choose not to untap Preacher as normal during your untapped phase. You also lose control of the creature if Preacher leaves play or at end of game. End of game. You can tell that that's a very old card when it says leaves play or at end of game. End of game. Seriously. Yeah, there's no antes anymore. Oh, were there antes in Dark? I can't remember. Were there antes in Dark? Put it in the comments because I don't remember. All right, Resurrection. How about Mystery Booster version? Oh, I guess that was Mystery. Resurrection for 4. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Now, I know. As of late, there's been some reanimation in white. And when I say as of late, I mean the last, 5-10 years. But this is intrinsically a black thing to do, reanimate spells out of the graveyard. But there are a few that also do that in white. But I felt it was worth mentioning because it's definitely a bend of what white usually does. All right, Suture Priest, or is it Suture? A Suture Priest. I'm gonna say Suture. I got this in my life gain decks. I think in both of them. Or do I have more than one? Or 2? I think I have 2 more than 2. Anyways, you guys would know. You guys check these episodes out. Woo! Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may gain 1 life. That is definitely white. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, you may have that player lose 1 life, which is a black mana thing going on there, people. All right, Witch Hunt. This is definitely not a white characteristic. Witch Hunter deals 1 damage to target player. Tap. Oh, that sounds very red to me. And for 3, return target creature an opponent controls to its owner's hand. And that feels very blue to me. So we got a bunch of stuff going on in this card that has absolutely nothing to do with the white color wheel. All right, and then we actually have one last worth noting that's in multiple colors. Selesnya. It is Asmira, Holy Avenger. Oh, it just seems like there should be something more sinister in the picture for that. At the end of each turn, put a 1/1 counter on Asmira, Holy Avenger, for each creature put into your graveyard from play that turn. That is a black spell written all over it, but it is not in black. It is in green-white. Very cool. Very cool indeedly-do. So, folks, we got some cards here. We got some cards that are going to surprise your opponents. Are there cards in here that I didn't mention? Put them in the comments. If there's enough of them in there, I will do another episode of color-breaking cards, color-bending cards that are worth considering in your commander decks that are at very least going to be humorous for you to play. That's going to totally surprise your opponents. And at very best, they're very good staples and worth putting in because they are powerful. I personally think that Withering Boon is pretty awesome in black, and Imps Mischief, and there's just a splattering of really great cards in here. All right, thanks for tuning in. Hit that like button, hit subscribe, and please comment if there's other cards in here that I didn't think of that are worth mentioning. All right, thanks, guys. Light up.